Hey guys, my name is Sergio and I am the owner of Surge New Levels Gym in Carroll Stream, Illinois. If you are coming across this video, this is something new that I want to go ahead and try. I want to use YouTube as a platform to go ahead and kind of express a lot of ideas on a variety of different topics. A lot of them which include things in my expertise, which are, building and growing a gym, owning a gym, being a coach, running events, and that sort of thing. So something that I actually wanted to go ahead and talk about today, and it's really what actually motivated me to go ahead and make this video and hopefully make future ones, is to address kind of the consumer culture that we have right now as Americans, and especially how it affects people in my age group, which are people in their 20s. What do I mean by this? Consumer culture. We've pretty much been sold the idea that we always have to have the next big thing, the newest version of something. So whether it be a phone, whether it be a new car, whether it be, apparently now you can finance like clothing options when you go shopping. I had no idea this was a thing, but apparently instead of just paying $75, you can pay 3 installments of $25, little things like that. That's consumer culture, always buying things. And so I think we've been really convinced to go ahead and kind of like buy into this and to always have the next big thing. And it's really something that for a lot of us, I think, especially as millennials, we struggle with, right? Because we're also taught, through Instagram and through social media that we have to be the best version of ourselves, and we have to go ahead and really publicize this and put it out there for people to watch and see. So it makes sense that people would want to go ahead and kind of chase after these things, and that's something that's really concerning, because I think for a lot of people, especially if you have a lot of student loan debt, if you have if you are paying rent at an apartment, because many of us can't afford a home, or you're paying rent at a townhouse, wherever it may be, I think a lot of us end up kind of living beyond our means. And so we end up owing all these little bills, whether we're paying an extra $400 on a car loan, when we could have gone ahead and, instead of buying a new car, we could have gotten a used car. We're going ahead and we're always paying that bill for that phone, and then when it's up, we're paying that bill again. So we're almost taught to kind of always expect those bills. And I think that's really that really showed to me, and it was really concerning to me, especially with the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, a lot of people went ahead and lost their jobs, whether it's permanently or temporarily. A lot of people, I think, their futures were, really in doubt, and they weren't really sure where things were going. And I think for a lot of people too, it made them realize just how far they might be living beyond their means. You shouldn't lose your job and then be like, wow, how am I gonna go ahead and pay off this $800, car bill? Or how am I now going to pay off the fact that I just bought the latest iPhone and I have no job? So I think that was really interesting to me, that a lot of people found themselves in a position where they literally had no money saved. They had no way of pretty much having an emergency fund to be able to fall back on. And I think it goes in part with what I'm talking about with consumer culture, is we spend too much and we live beyond our means, so we don't have enough money to allocate towards savings or towards other more important things, right? And I think what really alerted me even more was, once things started clearing up, I kind of saw people continue the same habits as before. It's almost like people got scared, they weren't really sure, they tried to pull back on a lot of different bills, like their car bills, their rent, whatever they could. Student loans was a big one. And then once things kind of started clearing up, once the unemployment checks started coming in, once those stimulus checks started hitting, it was kind of like, okay, great. I got money to continue feeding into this consumer culture that I've been taught and to continue living beyond my means, Whereas maybe the responsible thing would have been to go ahead and take this $1,200 stimulus check and say, okay, I'm going to put it towards a credit card, right? Or I'm going to go ahead and pay my car loan or whatever it may be. So I think that was really concerning to me, and that's really a lot of the reason why I'm making this video, is because I want to go ahead and talk about it, especially as it pertains to people in my age group. I think that we need to go ahead and kind of start making better decisions if we want to get farther in life, right? I think a lot of the times, it really is easy to feel like we've been kind of cheated in a way, right? Because, it's really difficult to afford a house now. We have like hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, like it's just very, very expensive, I think, to be a millennial. And, it is true that we are kind of in an unfortunate situation, but in the same sense, I do also honestly think that if we can be a little bit more proactive as a generation and going ahead and really trying to kind of like get away from this consumer culture and focus more on, really being debt free, I think we'll do better overall, right? And so, for me personally, like that's something that after this pandemic, it made me realize, like, I don't want to have debt anymore. I am absolutely done with debt. Like, just that burden of knowing that you have this money that you owe. And not only that, but all these like different, credit cards or all these different loans or all these different things that are owed, they pile on, right? And now, can you imagine if instead of having to pay, $100 a month towards a credit card or, $400 towards, your car loan, if you had all that paid off, like how much more you can make that money last, or even better, how much more you can make that money like grow, right? Can we invest it into something else? Can we put it into, for me personally as an entrepreneur, can I put that money into like, a new business venture? Can I think of something else? I've even been playing around with the idea of eventually learning like stocks and learning how to go ahead and put money into there. But, instead of living that culture where we're always going ahead and we're living paycheck to paycheck, maybe we need to go ahead and start cutting back on our spending, right? Maybe we don't need that Starbucks every single day. Maybe we don't need, that new pair of shoes that come out. And I think especially too, as minorities, like, being Mexican, like growing up, I remember everybody wanted Jordans. Everybody wanted, the latest, coolest thing, like big watches, everything. And like, it's great, and like, it's cool, but it doesn't really do anything for you. There's no value to it. And like, I think that people that are genuinely wealthy really don't spend a lot of money, right? So I think we've almost been tricked into thinking that we have to spend all this money and we have to own all these things to go ahead and like be elite and to feel like we're rich, when it's really just like making us slaves to like this consumer culture that we've been taught. So, I mean, hopefully, this kind of gives you something to think about. And I'm really hoping as a nation, we all kind of start realizing after this pandemic, like, hey, look, we have to start saving money and we need to start paying off our debt and we need to start focusing on ourselves first, right? And I think, if we can do this as a whole nation, if something like this ever occurs again, we'll be a lot better, right? But more importantly, I think you'll feel a lot more comfortable with yourself and with your financial security for the future. So if you like this video, let me know, leave a comment, give it a like, give me some thoughts, give me some feedback. I'll try to make some more videos on different topics that I can think of that maybe I wouldn't normally share on my social media pages for my business, but I just wanted to put some thoughts out there. Thank you.